Okay, today I would like to welcome Matt Elliott, former Scottish international and Leicester legend. Hello, Matty, how are you?
I'm good, Micky, thank you. Sorry, I keep getting that habit of calling you Micky when I'm used to it being gaffer or boss, etc. And even though it's a few years ago, I still feel a little bit awkward on first name terms. But am I all right to call you Micky these days?
Listen, Matt, you can call me anything, mate. You know that. You used to do it when you played for me.
I have behind your back many a time.
Just so that people know, Matty was my captain of a promotion winning side in 2002, 2003. And what was your memories of that season, Matt, apart from good management?
You got in there before me, but well, straight away you think about the celebrations and the jubilation of the promotion itself when finally, we got over the line, didn't we? I believe it was Brighton we played. We secured the promotion in that game at what was then the Walker Stadium. But it was, as much as anything, I think it was relief as well because of the situation at the club at the time. We got relegated, as you well know, not under your stewardship. You were there as part of the staff, and then you took over in a permanent role in difficult circumstances. The club had been relegated, as I say. Administration was an issue. The club was in it, and financial problems, and it was imperative that we went straight back up to the Premier League. And although we had a very good, experienced squad full of packed of Premier League experience, it did need, at the risk of being polite to you, it did need good management and strong direction, and you did give that. I have to be honest with, I think that was some achievement there because there was a lot of negativity around the club, and you just sort of banished any negativity really, and got us to be focused. And as I say, we got through week by week, just grinding out results. Really, it wasn't pretty and attractive all the time, but it was effective, and rightly so. You got a lot of plaudits for that, and it was a big part of a lot of our careers as well, a lot of the players' careers. It's not too often you get promoted into the Premier League, and it was a moment to savour because there's a lot of hard work went into it.
Well, listen, that's kind of you to say, Matt, and I'll send the money in the post. Those kind of.
Yeah, no checks, because I know what your checks are like.
Well, listen, as I said in my introduction, you're a friend of Brookhouse. You have done some coaching for the college, and also been abroad on a few trips as well. What's your experience of the college?
Yeah, I've worked in a number of capacities for the college, and very proud to do so. And it's. I take it as a compliment to be asked to be involved, and as I say, different capacities. I've worked at the college itself, at the grounds at Harbour, where the facilities are, and the facilities are superb, by the way. With the is it a 4G pitch these days?
Yes.
Yeah, it's state of the art. I've been involved there with groups that have come over from Thailand. I've worked with the students of the college themselves. As you say, I've been coaching abroad with yourself on trips to various countries, Hong Kong, Nigeria, for example, and amongst others. And it's always a great experience because it's a very worthy institution, for want of a better word. I think to give people the opportunity from literally all over the world to enhance themselves in an educational sense and a cultural sense, as well as obviously in a sporting sense, from the football academy. The opportunities are there at various levels. In an ideal world, because of the likes of yourself and other people at the college, there are avenues and outlets to the professional game, but also at a local level or semi-professional. The opportunities are wide and numerous and plenty, aren't they? And it's something that I know a lot of people of my generation. I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to play professional football, but a lot of people I played with didn't have a chance to go down such an avenue as this that Brookhouse provides. And I think people of this generation or this modern day are very fortunate to have that chance.
Well, I totally agree with you, Matt. And listen, just looking through your record, actually, I know you will be well remembered by Leicester City fans for playing 245 appearances for City, but you had a big spell at Oxford United as well. Can you tell us a little bit how you started?
Yeah, not that I'm counting. I'm sure it's about 290 performances for Leicester, one way or another.
This is
I don't know.
45 good appearances, Matt. So.
Oh, well, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm delighted with that. But yeah, that's by the way. But yeah, I had a great time at Leicester. I had a great time throughout my career. My career was quite varied. I started off non-league and worked my way up through all four divisions of the English Football League, and ended up playing international football for Scotland, which was another subject, a bit of a bizarre reasoning for that. But my grandmother, her heritage was the reason for that. But regarding Oxford, a lesser-known club, certainly outside of England. But at the time, we were in what is now the Championship, and we yo-yoed up and down a little bit into what is now League One and back up again. So it was turbulent times there, but really enjoyable. And it was all part of schooling for me, really. It was another step on the ladder towards my ultimate aim, which was to play in the Premier League, which thankfully I got the chance. But even at Oxford United, I played with some excellent players, many of whom went on to play in the Premier League, one of them being a gentleman called Phil Gilchrist, who came to Leicester with me a little bit later down the line. Dennis Smith was my manager, who's down in folklore of Stoke City more than any clubs that I played for. But he was a real good fellow and an excellent manager, and someone particularly good for me to play under, because he was a teak tough centre half. But, he really was hard as nails, Dennis, as I'm sure you'll verify. But soft-natured with it, and he had an eye for centre halves, and he took pride in bringing them along, developing them, and I was the lucky and grateful recipient of his tutorship. So, I had a good time at Oxford, and it's where I really sort of developed my confidence as a player to go on and perform at an even higher level soon with Leicester City.
I guess what I'm getting at, Matty, is that when these boys come into the college and they have opportunities to go to clubs, they talk about Premiership clubs as though that's where we want to start, that's where we want to go to. And my philosophy a lot of the time is, listen, sometimes you might have to go and cut your teeth in lower league football, and that's exactly the route that you took.
Yeah, mine was, as my dad used to say, these overnight successes sometimes take a little bit longer than you think.
Yeah.
And that was the case with me, because it was a slow trudge through the divisions, really, partly down to my own lack of application, if I'm honest. And if I had my time again, I would have focused more often at an earlier stage in my career. But I think you're right. In terms of young lads, they want to get there to the top as quick as they can. It's not achievable for everyone, and certainly not at the outset of your career. I mean, I've been involved at Leicester City in the academy on the coaching aspect. And whilst, I encourage the young lads there, when it doesn't happen for them at a club like Leicester City, who are in the Premier League and riding high as things stand, it's not the be-all and end-all. And more often than not, for young players, I think they were better off being at Leicester City when they were in the Championship, because you're more likely to get those opportunities and be fast-tracked through, because so much money is spent in the Premier League. Ironically, Leicester have got quite a few youngsters who have come through, which is great to see. But by and large, the amount of pressure there is, you see it at Man City, you see it at Chelsea, where they've got the best youngsters in the country. Very few of them, up until recent times, have been able to break through. So, don't be despondent if your opportunities come lower down the league. Look at it in a positive way. In fact, I think it's the more preferable route. You get better opportunities, cut their teeth, as you say, Micky. You get an opportunity to pit your wits against fully fledged professionals, experienced professionals, week in, week out, and effectively learn your trade. Yeah. And then you'll be more prepared for down the line.
Yeah. Talking of Leicester, you played in an era where I suppose before the Premiership success, you played in a golden era under a fantastic manager, Martin O'Neill, and you played in 2 cup finals. Is that right? And scored 2 goals at Wembley. What was that like?
I did, yeah. When I signed for Leicester in 1997, they got to the Coca-Cola Cup final, which is now the Carabao Cup final. I almost forgot that amount of times. And the cup's name was changed, which is effectively the League Cup. I was cup tight on that, so that was disappointing to not be involved, although I was in the mix and involved on the periphery of things. But then in '99, we got through to the same cup final against Tottenham Hotspur. We had the likes of David Ginola, Les Ferdinand, Sol Campbell, Ian Walker, who played obviously under you, Micky at Leicester City in later years. We messed that up, to tell you the truth. We fancied our chances against them. Neither side performed, and it was a dull, boring affair, and we lost 1-0. We went on to beat them 3 weeks later in the league at White Hart Lane. Got some sort of revenge, but my best moment came the following year when we got to the cup final again in that competition up against Tranmere Rovers, unlikely opponents, and equally as unlikely, I managed to score 2 goals, as you say, like in one cup final, which was
brilliant.
Unbelievable stuff, unbelievable. I mean, you sometimes, as a kid, wonder what it's like to maybe pinch a goal at Wembley in a cup final, but you never for one moment considered 2, especially as I was a centre-half. But it was just a perfect day for me. I was captain, I got man of the match, scored 2 goals. I was slightly at fault for Tranmere's equaliser after my first goal, so I went down the other end and sorted that out. And my youngest son was due to be born that day, but thankfully he waited 3 days so I could celebrate for a few days. He was born, as I say, 3 days later, so I celebrated for another 3 days. That was a long week. But it was amazing times. And I suppose in relation to young players being at the college, I can put some context to it because I was just playing locally, 17, 18, semi-professional, no real belief or expectation to be a professional footballer. Never mind playing in the Premier League, never mind scoring, goals at cup finals and playing international football. It all seemed a world away from me. But like I say, once I got myself focused, things are achievable. And, I suppose in some ways my story can be used, as a motivational, maybe that's a bit over the top, but certainly as encouragement for young players that don't make it straight away. Not everyone goes the traditional route into, an elite academy. There are many avenues, even in the modern day, to the professional game. And, look at my career. It's an example of that.
And just talking about the modern game, Matt, defenders today. I mean, you'd have had a field day. I mean, when teams are playing 4-3-3, 1 man up front, I think you'd have enjoyed that. I guess in your day, and listen, you've not been retired that long. I guess teams were 4-4-2. You always had 2 strikers up against you. What sort of attributes do you need in the modern game to be a good defender?
It's a good point because theoretically it was more difficult in our day. You were 2 centre halves against 2 more often than not. Certainly, when my time at Leicester, very good centre forwards, and it was a sort of direct match up. If you could handle their front 2, a long way to go to winning the game. But times have changed. It's a little bit more technical, I would say, and tactical, and I think that's a good thing. Really, sometimes like anything, you need balance. Some games are over tactical, and it's like literally a game of chess, isn't it? And it can be a bit tedious. But by and large, teams like to play attractive football. As a defender these days, you say I'd have had a field day. I probably beg to differ because the physical aspect of the game has been taken out, hasn't it? And not so much myself, although I use my size and height as best I could. I used any attribute I could because I needed it to make up for the lack of pace that I had. But other players I played alongside, the likes of Jerry Taggart, who played under you, of course, Steve Walsh, very physically aggressive. They wouldn't have lasted 2 minutes probably in the modern game because the contact has been certainly decreased, if not, totally taken out of the equation. But you have to be a little bit cuter. Like the centre halves are not as big and as bad and as ugly as they used to be, are they? They don't need to be. They don't need to be, but they're still a fair size more often than not. But they're fitter and leaner athletically as other players in general. But I think.
Well, I guess centre halves still have to head the ball out of the box, Matty, and.
Yeah, I mean, they've still got to be competitive in that sense. I mean, you look at Leicester City, you've got a total contrast in style of centre halves there in terms of Johnny Evans and Soyuncu. One's sort of calm and assured and measured and experienced and strolls through the game using his positional sense. And Soyuncu is like, he's a little bit reckless, but he's raw and aggressive and the quickest centre half probably in the league, and I include Van Dijk in that. That might surprise a few people, but it'll be a very good race, put it that way. And he goes charging into challenges, and they complement each other. So, things haven't changed that much, really.
I think you do yourself a disservice there, Matt, because the one thing that I always remember about you was that, you could handle the ball, you could play out from the back. You were clever at going for headers that you could win. You didn't to go for too many that you had no chance of winning. And if you were playing against pace, you either got tight and won the ball early or you dropped off. And I think that, clever defenders like yourself would still be playing the game, no problem.
Yeah, no, I think, it's just like the physical aspect of it. But you would adjust to that. You know what you can and can't do. And as you say, I would back myself to be capable. Obviously not now, but in my prime, for want of a better word. But I mean, the likes of, look at Wes Morgan. A lot of people were writing him off 6-7 years ago. He's past it. He can't handle the Premier League. Coming from Nottingham Forest, where he spent the majority of his time in the Championship, and then. What time he's had at Leicester City, and he's 36. Okay, his game time's getting less, but he's still going strong. Yeah. But you're right, centre halves are cleverer than they're given credit for because you can't just edit kick it and and go through people. You've got your positional sense has got to be bang on. You've got to be alert. You've got to work as a pair, and then you've got to work as a defensive unit in a back 4 or 5, whatever it is. And like you say, I think with the more specified training and the support there is from the analysts and the dietitians, I think I've been able to make that adjustment. And particularly in that centre half role, you can get away with having a lack of pace because you learn to not go into areas where you're exposed as well, and you're always waiting. I remember being run at in situations. I could hear the opposition bench going, run at him. And I was thinking, that's what you need to do. But I just dropped off and tried to slow their pace of attack until assistants could come and join me. I couldn't.
Tim Flowers always tells you, Matty, was that you were that deep, you were playing behind him at times.
Yeah, he says you're the best centre half I've ever played in front of. Fair comment.
So listen, Matt, I don't want to keep you much longer, mate. It's been really good, and everybody at Brookhouse thanks you for the work that you do for us.
That's a pleasure. I love being involved.
A young footballer coming through. What's your top tip?
Single it down to one. I mean, I have to back up my own sort of outlook on life and football. Really, is for me to make sure you enjoy it. Be happy in what you do. Don't pressurise yourself. But when you're content and you revel in it and you enjoy doing something, then you express yourself and you give it your best shot. That would be my primary bit of advice. But looking back on my own situation, whilst I enjoyed it, I enjoyed other aspects of life probably a little bit more than I should have. I wasn't as dedicated and focused as I could have been in the earlier parts of my career. I said earlier, if I had that chance again, I would have, yes, had fun and enjoyed it, but remained focused at the same time and achieve things maybe a little bit earlier. But listen, you got to have fun, whatever you do as well. You've got to enjoy it. Yeah. And then I think you get the most out yourself, don't you?
Yeah. Well, listen, Matt, as I said, from Brookhouse's point of view, we're delighted that you're on board. You're a great ambassador for us. And we thank you for your time today, mate. Top man.
Pleasure, Micky. Hopefully see you soon.
Cheers, pal. Thank you.
Gaffer, sorry.